Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are diving into a really fascinating concept from Anupam Sharma called the art of prioritization in psychotech leadership. Let's talk about how to actually master your choices in a world that is just constantly demanding your attention. I mean, think of it this way. In our hyper-connected world right now, modern AI and technology are basically this massive, high-speed engine just pushing us forward faster than ever before. But, raw speed is totally useless and frankly kind of dangerous if you don't actually know where you're going. That's where human intuition, your personal clarity, and your ability to prioritize come in. They act as your vital steering wheel and your GPS. Without them, you're literally just moving super fast in the exact wrong direction.
So, let's get real for a second. Are you operating in the noise zone? We all struggle with this for sure. You know the feeling. You open your inbox, your phone is constantly buzzing with notifications, you've got 10 open projects, and every single one of them is marked urgent. It's just the utter chaos of the modern workplace, and it leads straight to massive information overload and severe decision fatigue. If you're finishing your day totally exhausted but somehow feeling like you didn't actually accomplish anything meaningful, yeah, you're stuck right here in the noise zone.
Okay, let's dive into this, because there's a golden rule for escaping all that noise. The source material spells it out perfectly. Great decision-making is the art of prioritizing your choices. That is the core thesis here. We often trick ourselves into thinking that successful people just magically have better options available to them. But that's completely false. You don't rise or fall based on a lack of options. You rise or fall based entirely on how you prioritize the options sitting right in front of you. Basically, every outcome in your life, whether that's success, growth, or just stagnation, is the direct result of your prioritization skills.
Which brings us to Section 1, the hidden decision trap. Let's look at exactly what happens when our efforts get all scattered and we fall for that classic illusion of productivity, where we mistake just moving around for actual progress. There are these hidden barriers that trip up even the smartest professionals. First off, we suffer from FOMO, the fear of missing out, which makes us just say yes to absolutely everything. Or we get emotionally attached to low-value tasks simply because they're easy and they give us that quick little dopamine hit. Maybe we lack clarity in our overarching goals, or we cave to external pressure from peers. Or, my personal favorite, we get totally bogged down in overthinking and analysis paralysis. The source explains that this lack of prioritization sets off a really brutal chain reaction. Basically, scattered efforts lead directly to poor decisions, which result in weak outcomes and ultimately totally tank your confidence.
And this brilliantly illustrates the contrast here. Look, being busy is absolutely not the same as being productive. Just because something is screaming that it's urgent doesn't automatically mean it's actually important. And doing more is rarely the same thing as doing better. True leaders deeply understand this fundamental difference. They don't just try to do more things. They ruthlessly focus on doing only what matters most. That's how you transform chaotic activity into pinpoint effectiveness.
Moving on to Section 2, the Leadership Decision Pyramid.
Now that we understand the trap, we need a structured way to actually climb our way out of the noise. Think about the architecture of how decisions work. Down at the base, you gather information. From that data, you generate choices. Then you hit prioritization, which is where you rank what actually matters. Above that is the decision, where you take action, and it all points up to the ultimate vision, aligning with your main purpose. Now here's the massive takeaway. Most people get completely stuck at step 2. They gather info, generate endless choices, and then they just freeze. Highly effective leaders, though, they ascend this pyramid. They live at the prioritization level, making sure they align every single choice with their vision long before they ever take action.
To help ascend that pyramid, we can use classic, super effective tools like the Eisenhower Matrix. It breaks tasks into 4 clear quadrants. If it's urgent and important, you do it now. If it's important but not urgent, you plan it. If it's urgent but not important, delegate it. And if it's neither, just eliminate it. The source material highlights a really profound insight here. High performers spend their time in the important but not urgent quadrant. That is the growth zone. Low performers, on the other hand, get trapped constantly putting out fires in the urgent but not important quadrant. And hey, that's exactly what we called the noise zone earlier.
That leads us into Section 3, Human Art Meets AI Science.
This brings us to a really cutting-edge concept introduced by Sharma. It's called psychotech leadership. And it addresses exactly how we need to adapt our decision-making in a world that's increasingly driven by AI. Now, what's really interesting here is how perfectly this juxtaposes the 2 very different types of intelligence we have at our disposal today. On one side, we have technology strengths, unbelievable data processing, rapid pattern recognition, and just pure speed.
But on the other side, we have uniquely human strengths, our capacity for long-term vision, our ethical boundaries, and our emotional intelligence. It's not about one replacing the other. It's more like science gives us the structure, while human arts provides the much-needed wisdom.
And when you merge those two sides together, you get what the author calls the psychotech decision engine. It's this powerful synthesis of AI, data processing, and human intuition. And the end result is smart prioritization. Going back to our earlier analogy, the machine provides this incredible high-performance engine, but the human provides the strategic navigation. So the future leader is absolutely not replaced by AI. The future leader is amplified by AI.
Let's look at Section 4, 5 Filters of Prioritization.
So how do we practically filter our options using this human wisdom? Well, here is the specific framework that acts as your ultimate checkpoint. A truly great decision really needs to pass through all 5 of these dimensions. Number 1, purpose. Does this actually align with my overarching mission? 2, impact. What real value is this going to create? 3, urgency. How time-sensitive is it, really? 4, energy. Does this match my current physical and mental capacity right now? And 5, leverage. Will this choice multiply my results down the line? If a task can't make it through these 5 filters, honestly, it simply shouldn't be a priority.
Let's move to the number 20 and see how this builds on a really foundational law, the Pareto principle, or the 80-20 rule. In the context of prioritizing, it reminds us that just 20% of your choices and actions are going to create 80% of your desired results. Your entire goal in using those 5 filters we just talked about is to identify and fiercely protect that vital 20%.
Which takes us to Section 5, Becoming a Decision Architect.
Now we're shifting to the ultimate paradigm shift in this explainer. It's all about moving from someone who merely reacts to what happens into someone who actively designs their reality. And to make that shift, you need a system. This is the 7-step mastery system, and these are basically the critical weapons of a true decision architect. Step 1, define your North Star, your ultimate goal. Step 2, do a brain dump, just get all the clutter out of your head. Step 3, apply that 80-20 filter to find the high-impact items. Step 4, run them through the 5D filter: purpose, impact, urgency, energy, and leverage. Step 5, eliminate ruthlessly. You've got to say no without guilt. Step 6, sequence your actions, figure out what's first and what's later. And Step 7, review your outcomes using the plan, do, check, act cycle so you can constantly refine your priorities.
But of course, a system only works if you actually use it, right? That requires the disciplined self-motivation the author mentions, which you build through daily rituals. In the morning, spend just 10 minutes writing down your top 3 priorities and aligning them with your long-term vision. At midday, take 5 minutes for a quick distraction check. Just ask yourself, am I working on priorities right now or just reacting to noise? Then in the evening, take 10 minutes to reflect on what created maximum value today and what you're going to eliminate tomorrow. They are just small habits, but they have massive ripple effects.
As you start implementing this, you're going to undergo a pretty profound evolution in your leadership. See, most people in business are just decision makers. They're reactive. They wait for choices to be presented to them, and then they pick one. But a decision architect? They are highly strategic. They don't just choose, they build the very frameworks and systems that ensure the right choices get elevated in the first place. They create a system that entire teams and organizations can follow to achieve much faster growth and strategic execution.
So the crucial point is captured beautifully in this final priority formula. Clarity of purpose, combined with strict filters, executed with daily discipline, and refined through continuous review, equals great decisions. It's not about raw intelligence alone. In an age of endless distraction, the ability to focus is incredibly rare, and the ability to prioritize, that is pure power. Which brings us to the very end of our explainer, leaving us with a question that life asks you every single moment of every day. What will you choose and what will you ignore? Look, you cannot control all the options the world throws at you, but you possess total control over how you prioritize them. So I challenge you today to step out of that noise zone, apply these frameworks, and become the architect of your own decisions. Thank you so much for joining me, and I absolutely can't wait to see what you build.